Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I have something called Chicken Paprikash. This is a fantastic, vibrant dish. It's essentially chicken with like a stroganoff sauce. It's traditionally served with a buttered spatzel or buttered noodles. It's phenomenal. It's one of my go-to comfort foods. First things first, we got to gather our ingredients. I'm going to be using about 3 pounds boneless, skinless chicken thighs here. You can absolutely use bone in. If you do, remove the skin off top. I'm saving time on trimming. Ain't nobody got time for that. I got 3 kids. You're also going to need olive oil, good amount, sour cream, chicken stock, flour, pepper, salt. You need a good amount of garlic. Paprika. Get a really nice paprika if you can. Go to a specialty store, get some. Trust me, it's worth it. I have a little bit left over brought to me by my mom from Hungary. Store-bought is fine, but make sure it's fresh. If it's been sitting in your cupboard for 2 years, you're not really going to get that fresh pop that you get with the good stuff. You need 1 red bell pepper, or if you have tiny ones like me, 2. 1 onion, and a can of diced tomatoes. But now that we've gathered our ingredients, let's get cooking. First things first, we're gonna cut up our flavorful ingredients here. We got an onion. I'm just gonna dice it up. You want about 1.5 cups of chopped onion. Upwards of 2 is fine. Don't get, a softball size onion here. Let's do our red peppers here. All right, just gonna put this in with my onions. And we gotta get our tomatoes. We're gonna drain them. I'm even gonna throw my garlic in at the same time, so I'm not gonna mince it up. If I mince it up, it might burn. I'm just gonna slice it thin. And I got about 5 garlic cloves. If you do mince it up, maybe wait a little bit and then add it after you've kind of cooked the onion and peppers down. But I like just throwing everything in at the same time, so you kind of have to adapt what you normally do in order to make that work. Now remember, I'm not cutting these hair thin. I don't want them to burn. So now let's move over to the stove. Let's get cooking. We're gonna start with about 1/4 cup of olive oil. I'm just gonna heat it over medium heat, get it shimmering. And while that's heating up, let's prep our other ingredients here. So for my chicken stock, I'm gonna be starting off with about 2 cups. I'm gonna be adding more as necessary to get the right consistency. You might end up adding as much as half, 3/4, even a full cup. There's variables in here, how much the chicken is gonna kind of leach off. And if it doesn't leach off that much, we'll add a little bit more. If it leaches off a ton, we'll be perfect. All right, now that the oil is kind of hot and shimmering, let's get our aromatics in. Medium heat. All right, for this chicken, we're just gonna season it up, let it sit, and that'll be about 10 minutes while this cooks. You want it softened. You're pretty much stewing it. You want it to kind of start to break down. Don't fret if those tomatoes don't. They hit them with calcium chloride in the can. They're meant to hold together. You're gonna season up, maybe about a teaspoon per 1.5 pounds, so 2 teaspoons. Salt. Again, if you want to spend the time, trim them up, you can. I'm not going to. All right, so we're just cooking this down. Veggies gonna get softened. I'm gonna hit it with about a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. And if you look at the bottom of this pan, you saw I put in 1/4 cup of oil. It's not super greasy. I don't have puddles of grease here. It's all getting incorporated. All right, we're almost there. I don't really want that much browning, but if I get a little bit, that's fine. I'm gonna put in a good amount of pepper here, maybe 1/2 teaspoon. For my paprika, I'm gonna do a hefty amount, about 2 tablespoons here. I'm gonna give that a stir. Now I'm gonna add my 2 cups chicken broth. And if you want a little heat to this, now's the perfect time to add a little bit of cayenne. I'm gonna garnish with a little bit of Aleppo pepper. You know me, you know I love my Aleppo pepper. Now it's time to get our chicken in. Just gonna add a teeny bit more of chicken stock. I just wanna make sure that the chicken is covered here. All right, maybe 1/4 cup, 1/3 cup there. Now I'm gonna bring it up to a simmer, drop the heat to medium low, cover and cook. I'm taking it to 195 because that's when it becomes tender. Chicken thighs, 195. That's the trick. Here we go. We got a little bit of a simmer here. Drop the heat down to medium low. I'm gonna cook it until the chicken thighs register 195. That's gonna take 20 to 30 minutes. If you do bone in, probably the longer end of the time. If you have boneless, skinless like I have, probably 20 minutes. All right, our chicken has cooked. It is cooked through. I'm just gonna go ahead and take them all out. Just gonna let them rest. Now to thicken up this sauce and give it the creamy consistency we like, I'm gonna put a 1/3 cup of sour cream here. And I'm gonna stir in about 2 heaping tablespoons of flour. Just gonna whisk all this together. And now we got our paste here. I'm gonna get about 1/2 cup to a cup of this hot liquid here. I'm just gonna pour it in, whisk it up, try not to get any clumps. And if I do, that's okay. I can whisk them out. And if not, I can put it through a fine mesh strainer and get it out that way. If you look at it now, looks a little greasy. That's fine. But it looks good, nice and smooth. No chunks except for those bits of pepper and onion. We're gonna get this into our pot over here. There we go. Look at that saucy goodness. All right, now we're just going to bring it up to a simmer. We're going to cook it. We're going to try and thicken it through. Remember, we got to cook the flour. Dumping hot liquid on it isn't going to cut it. All right, now that we got it up to a simmer, I've dropped the heat to medium low. I'm going to stir it as often as I can, and I'm going to cook it for about 5 minutes. You want it to thicken up. Great consistency already. Hope to get it a little thicker. Still got about 3 minutes left. I'm going to taste it for salt and pepper. That's nice. I love paprika. And remember, use a sweet paprika here. Not smoky, not spicy. I am going to put a little bit of salt, probably do a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher. All right, let's get this off. To start, I have my buttered egg noodles here. I've already cooked. I set them aside. All right, I'm going to get a heaping pile, much to my trainer's dismay. I'm going to put 1 big piece of chicken just on top, just like that. You finish this with a bit of parsley if you want. I'm not super fancy. I am going to hit it with a little bit of Aleppo and a little bit more sour cream. Sprinkle of Aleppo. Yes. If you want to add a little bit more paprika, if you feel like it needs that, do it. Otherwise, I think we're good here. I'm going to dig in. Just tender. Falls apart. Falls apart. Oh, you get the paprika. And it's got a little hit of the Aleppo. All right, let's get it with a little bit of this buttered pasta. Just so delicious. There's so much background flavor. The forward flavors are the chicken, the noodles, a little bit of the Aleppo, but then the paprika really just carries it. The creaminess from the sour cream just adds so much richness. And you get the richness from the chicken as well, because they're chicken thighs rather than those lean breasts. Oh, it's just so warming. It's just so comforting. It is sort of saucy like a stroganoff. Just don't call it a stroganoff. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like what you saw, don't forget, you can follow me on Twitch, YouTube. I'm also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, this is Chicken Paprikash. Hope you enjoyed. Take care.